So I'm gonna get right in. I'm gonna get right into it. I understand that you wrote it as well as directed. Where did the concept come from?
Actually, it's I was approached to write this project actually. So the producer Tara Craig and her friend Alesia Glidewell, they had the basic concept, which was a makeup influencer in a house. That was pretty much it. And they reached out to me and asked if I would write a script kind of based on that. And I actually didn't know anything about makeup influencers or any of that whole world until I started looking into it. And then, it was pretty shocking to realize, like, wow, there's like billions of people involved in this, and I had no idea. And apparently, I live in a cave. Um, but yeah, and then, from there, I just played around with a lot of different ideas of like uh, some of my favorite horror films and kind of classic tropes and stuff and went from there.
I Some of the elements that I liked a lot about the movie, especially opening up the music. I thought you had like that synth wave vibe. You had a lot of the colors, the pink and the blues and stuff like that. Did you have any say in that, or is that how you wanted it to look?
Yeah, we spent a lot of time working that out ahead of time because, the cinematographer, he's super talented and he's also actually a director. And we really wanted to make sure it had a look that fit her character, which was this very poppy, princessy vibe. And then the music is Johnny Jewel, who I just love his music and the chromatics. And um, I started temping with that music when I was putting the film together in post. And then, usually it's like, oh, like they talk about how you're going to fall in love with your temp music and how terrible that is. And we just licensed it. So I just kept my temp music and we were lucky enough to get to use it. So it was pretty great. I think some of the tracks actually were from, he put out an album that was like, he did the first version of the score for Drive. And
That's okay. So that's where I was getting at. That's exactly what I was. All
yeah.
right.
So a few of the tracks are
Okay.
from that specifically, which are pretty awesome. So yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie. I swear to goodness, on my way driving to the studio here, I was listening to the Drive soundtrack. Isn't that weird?
That is weird.
But okay, so getting into some of the characters, Mia and the sister, what was Nicole? Nicole, right?
Mhm.
That was Nicole.
Yes. Yeah.
Uh, the casting was great. I mean, you fall in love with Mia, right away. She's very camera photogenic, and they're doing like the photography shoot and whatnot. And I guess you nailed it in the casting. And I looked up Daisy Tudor, and she has her Instagram and whatnot, and it's almost like it's the same person as Mia. And she's very photogenic, very beautiful woman, very like she's got a good following and whatnot. So how did you decide to cast like to get this person or these people?
Um, for her role specifically, it was really hard. We did a lot of auditions. We saw a lot of actresses. And it was tough because we needed somebody who you would believe was like a makeup influencer, but also had enough depth that you would watch a whole movie that's just her. And so it was kind of hard to find somebody who had both of those elements. And we were about a week out from shooting and we still hadn't cast her. And it was very, very stressful. And I was talking to the DP about it, just sort of freaking out. And he's like, my friend, his girlfriend is an actress, and she's pretty cool. I was like, have her send me a tape. And it was her, and she was great. And I knew the second I saw her first scene that she would be perfect. So it kind of was serendipitous, but kind of came in the last second there.
So I'm going to try not to ask too many questions because I know we got all the other hosts here. I have questions about you know, and I hope they all ask about some of the scenes and stuff because some of them I'm like cringing, and there was one scene that reminded me of another movie that freaked. It was just one scene in this particular movie, Saw, where oh, what's the gal's name? Gets thrown into the syringes, and there's something similar there. And I'm like, I hate needles, man. I don't. I know the
Me
COVID
too.
shots are coming up soon, and I'm cringing. I don't want to get a shot. I was like, is there another way? Is there like a gummy chewable I can take or something? But no. So some of the scenes, man, were brutal, like off the chain brutal. I just I won't go into detail on any of them. I'll let everybody else ask that. But I did want to ask a different question that kind of doesn't have to do with the movie, but it does kind of the subject matter. Um, a few weeks ago, we were talking about on our show. We have like our own segments, and HorrO, one of our co-hosts, brought up something about like social media and just online bullying and stuff like that. I feel like you kind of not online bullying, but as I'm watching this, a lot of it has to do in the way it's filmed and everybody's watching and everybody's tuned in, and you put yourself out there as a media star. You put your life out there, you put your pictures up there. Anybody can follow anybody and can find out like, oh, and they start to feel like they're part of your life. They don't even know you. I know Chris, and he's got a huge following. I feel like I know him, but I've never hung out with him before, but he puts himself out there, and he talks about this and whatnot. So I guess my question to you is, did you feel like you had to touch on that just to, I guess, for the audience to connect with the actors, like they're putting themselves out there, then they kind of touch on that, like it's dangerous. And essentially it's a dangerous situation if you're not prepared for all these different followers and all these things that you do. Like it was kind of cool to think about that because that's kind of the age that we're living in is social media. How many followers do you have? I mean, I've been even asking for guests sometimes like, well, how many followers do you have? Like, why does that matter? So anyway, what are your thoughts on that? Like the age that we're living in, and it's like how many followers age that we live in right now?
Well, yeah, I think once I knew that we were gonna be doing a story surrounding someone who lives her life online, it became pretty clear that there would be, I'd have to say something about it because like that's her whole raison d'etre. And for me, it's less about the danger of it. We obviously explore that in the film, but really it's about the idea of what you were saying about how you think you can know someone. And we
Hmm.
all kind of put out these ideas of ourselves, most of the time not even unintentionally, but we're obviously editing what we put out into the world, and that affects how people see us. So they're seeing us in a very they're seeing a persona, not us. And then their persona becomes friends with your
Hmm.
persona, and then you have this like persona friendship. And what does any of that mean at all? It's like you pull a little string on that and it'll just disintegrate. I mean, it's yeah. So to me, that's what I was most interested in, which was, we have lots of like online friends and online relationships and all of that now, and kind of questioning what those mean when faced with like, things that are happening in your immediate life. Um, so that's kind of where I was mostly focusing on. And then also, obviously, people can stalk you and it's super scary.
No, you're right, and that's the thing. I see it online all the time where people stalk other people or whatever, and it's a dangerous world right now, and people can find anything out about anybody pretty much, and it's very crazy. And but it's even crazier though is I guess in the crescendo of the movie, everybody's watching in a sense, and these
Mhm.
people that watch other people and what's going on, that's the scary part is the the fuel, for I need more viewers, I need more followers, I need more attention. Look at me. I'm willing to do this to get followers, and I can honestly say that I think us four here on Where the Scary Things are not about that at all. Like we just do our thing and we're like who we are. But anyway, Jennifer, thank you so much for hanging out with us, with me and answering my questions. I'm going to pass you on over to Muse, and she's got a few questions for you.
Okay, great. Thanks so much.
Hey, Jennifer. It's nice to
Hi.
meet you. Yeah, I kind of said hi earlier, but I'm going to say it again.
Hello.
Hello. So yeah, this was a fantastic film and very timely, like Ken said, for the age we're living in. I think that we've all seen things like this online and things of that nature, and we can definitely relate to the digital age that we're living in. So, I mean, I'm going to ask one of my favorite questions to ask. And I'd say it's one of my favorite. I wanted to ask you, there were so many great scenes that Ken mentioned, and I don't want to steal anything from anyone else because I know that, Chris and Omar still have to ask you lots of questions as well. So I'm just going to kind of ask in a general sense, which scene was the most fun to film during Shook?
Most fun to film. A lot of it was not fun.
Okay, I should ask a challenging question.
No, I know. It's just like it was a really hard shoot because it was like, not a lot of money, not a lot of time. So everything was just, always very stressful.
Yeah.
I think I would say, even though it was tough, maybe the scene in the pool, when she flips Lainey over. It was like 3 a.m. and February, and even though we're in LA, it was very, very cold, and she's wearing a very little dress. She was such a trooper. But there was like, timing that had to be involved in the shot and getting it just right. And but once we finally got it, it was pretty cool. I thought it looked really good. So we were pretty happy with that one.
Well, it was a fantastic scene, and like I said, there's lots of great moments in this one. And like I said, I didn't want to steal too many from the guys, but that was definitely one of the really extremely memorable and very visually stunning scenes with the lighting and all that sort of thing. So you guys did a great job, and I love lots of blood, so that's always a good thing. So I wanted to ask you. Ken kind of touched on it a little bit, but I kind of wanted to go back to the social media aspect of everything just for a second. If I was new, or maybe anybody out there is newer to social media, what advice would you say you would give them when they're first starting out? Like things to avoid, maybe don't do this, maybe do that sort of thing.
Oh boy.
Because I think the film kind of like there's a lot of like commentary on that, like maybe you should do this, maybe you shouldn't do that sort of thing, like where your priorities should be in this, that, and the other,
Yeah, I mean, I think that like my personal take on it is just, as far as I think it's really easy to fall into your online persona because it can be whatever you want it to be, and you can ignore bad things and block people you don't like, and you're very much in control of what happens there, or at least you think you are. And that's really nice compared to like if something's happening in your life that somebody's sick or you lose your job or something like that. It's not fun, and you have to deal with it anyway. And whereas I think that people like to escape online because you feel like you can control everything. And I think that the main goal, the main sort of message I think here is that your life is still your life, and it's still happening whether you're paying attention or not. And comparatively anyway, not that you can't make real connections with people online, but comparatively, your life that's happening physically right in front of you is what is always going to demand more attention. And you can't ignore it for long because it will catch up with you.
Absolutely. And you nailed it. It's such a powerful message. And I think that we need to remember that. And, it's so funny because I have extremely severe social anxiety, and people always go, you do? Because I just don't see it online. You just seem so lively and so friendly and so talkative. And it's because I don't have to deal with it unless I want to. And like you said, there's control. There's, okay, I don't want to deal with this today, so I'm not going to go on Twitter. I'm not going to go online to Facebook or wherever you're at, and it's up to you. It really is. But life is going to happen, like you said, whether you know it or not, and there is no stopping it. And this is such a great message. And I loved that the movie really brought that out, and I loved it. Like I said, there's a lot of us that need to, remember that, like myself, life is going to happen whether I like it or not. And my anxiety is my anxiety, and I'm going to have to find a way to deal with it. But, online, it is easier. It is easier because, you do have that control. So I'm going to ask a little bit less of a serious question, and I'm going to ask about Chico because I love that little dog.
Chico, yeah.
His own, little star, and I'm like, please don't hurt Chico.
I know, right?
What in the world? Don't do it to the dog, and I'm not going to say to everybody what happens. I'm not going to ruin that for anybody. But so how did Chico do on set? I'm such an animal lover, so I'm going to ask this kind of
yeah. I'm an animal lover too, for the record. That's kind of, it's interesting how many people kind of catch it or don't catch it with the movie, but like kind of what I was getting at is how much more are you worried about Chico than you are any of her friends, right? I mean,
I was so stressed.
You inherently are far more worried about the dog, and that says something to you about the people. Yes. But anyway, Chico, we picked Chico just based on their picture, which is, I was actually a girl, not a boy. Okay. And we thought she was so cute. And then it turned out when she showed up that this was her first movie. And so she wasn't so like, she'd get like half of what we wanted her to do. So like she'd go to the door, but then she wouldn't like bark or something like that. Like it was always like, so we ended up having to adjust some of the shooting on the fly to kind of accommodate what she could do. But very, very cute. And the dog actually in the opening film, she was a pro, like an old pro. And we shot that last, and it was kind of like, oh my gosh, like if we'd only had a dog like this for Chico, because it was so much easier. I mean, it just went so much faster, and Chico was definitely green, but very cute, very cute.
Well, I'll tell you what, over here, we love the heck out of Chico. And I know all of the people that are going to watch the movie will as well. When all of you see it, it's a great movie. I'm going to ask one more question. I don't think I'm stealing this from any of the guys, which is why I'm going to ask it. And this is kind of like diverting from the film just for a second. You produced on a found footage film that I really, really liked called Dark Mountain. I love that. And I wanted to bring some attention to that as well, because I really feel like it's a hidden gem. And I saw it on Tubi TV. We're a big fan of that free app here. And I was just, I'm a huge found footage fan. So I'm always looking for the newer ones I have not seen, or maybe ones I missed. And tell us a little bit about that film for those that out there that may want to find it, if they're a found footage film fan like I am.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. When we're done, I'm going to tell the writer and director that you mentioned it, because she'll be very touched. She's a very good friend of mine, actually. And that was, gosh, when did we shoot that? It was many years ago.
I think it came out in 2014 or something like that.
Yeah. And it premiered at the Austin Film Festival. It was just sort of like, boy, that might be the hardest film shoot I've ever been on.
Oh no.
Like that was even harder because we had even less money and less time. And we were like deep in the Angeles mountains, and it was all night. So it'd be like 4 a.m. and freezing. And then at the end of each night, it's like, 5 a.m, you had to drive down like 5 miles of windy road in the dark to get to the freeway to go home. It was just, we were convinced somebody was going to die. We were very, very worried about that. And then they shot, I didn't go, I was grateful for it. They shot a bunch of stuff in the Arizona desert in June when it was like 115 degrees. And I conveniently didn't have to go to that shoot. But it was also very hard. But it was the whole cast and crew was really fun, and it was like very much kind of like we were all in this little war together in the middle of nowhere.
Arizona in June does sound like a war zone.
No, I was like, I think I'm busy that week.
Right, that'd be me.
Well, wait, I gotta interject. Yeah. I gotta interject here. I gotta say something. So I grew up in Arizona, and I live in New Jersey now, and I work in New York and all that. I would take the 120-degree weather in the summer any day of the week than the summer's here. I hate the summer's here.
Is it because it's humid?
It is disgusting.
It gets humid.
It's because
in
it's
Michigan.
humid.
Yeah. Is it true? Okay, Ken, I got to ask you, is it true that the dry heat is a better heat than the humid heat? Or does it matter?
1,000% better. 1,000% better. Like I love it. Like it just burns. It's like taking a hot shower.
Yeah,
you know?
like opening up an
Instead of
oven.
sitting in right. Instead of sitting in a sauna, you take a hot shower and it's like, I don't know, it's something refreshing and just burns. But I played sports in it. I ran in it. You know, I played outside in it. I loved it. And it's not like you're hanging out a lot outside. You're in the air conditioning. Anyway, I won't butt in too much. Go ahead, Muse.
Okay, I was just gonna say I'm with Jen. I would have been absent that week and sick and all that. I'd be like, no, I'm gonna skip it anyway. But so I mean, I had a great time talking to you, you, Jen. I'm gonna pass you over to Chris, the Creature Zisi. I'm sure he's got some great questions for you. Again, I really love the film, and it was fantastic talking to you.
Thanks. Great talking to you.
Hey, Jennifer. Good evening again.
Hi.
Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.
Yeah, I really, really like this movie. And the second hour of the show, I'm going to do a review on it. And what I'm going to focus on the review has to do with my first question. This could very well have been a hit piece. It's a slasher film. You've got nubile babes as victims. They're superficial. They're materialistic. In the first 4 or 5 minutes when the first killing occurs, we're kind of smiling and we're kind of saying, yeah, great. It could very well have been a hit piece where we're cheering for the slasher. But it wasn't. You had a young gal, Mia, who's played beautifully, and you take us through a transition. She's contrasted right away with her sister, who is a saint. Her sister's doing God's work. Her sister doesn't have the luxury of being superficial. And a lot of people out there are not beauty influencers. They don't have a whole lot of friends. They moved to a new place. They're home on the weekends because there's nothing to do. Nobody's calling them. And they can probably identify with, I think Nicole is the sister's name.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But instead of a slasher piece, you present a transition because Mia is a young woman with most of her life ahead of her, with a bunch of education still to go. And who amongst us, especially 20-year-olds, 21-year-olds, doesn't have a materialistic streak in her? Was that your intention to show that transition? Because we see a lot of movies where you feel bad at the end because you're cheering for the guy with the knife. And you gave us something that showed us what ended up being a real human being who was still growing and was growing in front of our eyes.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I kind of wanted you essentially to go do exactly what you were saying. It's just like to initially see her as this typical superficial character. But the most superficial person in the world is still like a person, right? And there's always something more to them. And I was hoping to show that there's like more underneath, and there's probably reasons why they seem the way they are. And in this case, she's trying to block out some really unpleasant things in her life. And that's obviously not a very healthy way to do it, but that's the way she's choosing to cope with it. So, I mean, I think it depends on the audience member, how much they come to like Mia by the end. Not everybody does, and that's okay. But I did just kind of, I didn't want it to be so cut and dry. I wanted to show what may be lurking behind some of these people, and that, there's, again, talking about the danger of kind of getting sucked into the online world where you do have so much control over everything, and we all fall victim to that sometimes. So she was just a very extreme version of that, but then we got to see, her realize kind of where she's gone wrong.
My second question before I hand it over to Omar is a more technical question. I have no experience making movies. I've never made one, never been in one. I just watch them. And my classic view of people filming a movie is you got a camera, a director, a couple of other people, you got a bunch of actors, some of them standing on the side, waiting for the next scene. You film it, other actors come in. But in this movie, most of the other actors, Nicole's an exception, they're never on the screen. Were they there physically when you were filming, or were they at home on their iPhones waiting for your call? Or
I mean, they weren't there for almost the entire production. They were like, each person, you know, maybe had one day where we shot out all of their scenes that were in the house. But yeah, I mean, I would say the majority of them were only there for one day. And it was, part of it was just, that's the most efficient way to do it, is like we were able to kind of knock out all the stuff that was just Mia, and then, you know, swap the people in and shoot it all together so that we didn't have people there when they didn't need to be there. But yeah, no, I mean, most of it was they weren't there. And we shot all the social media stuff on a completely different day in a completely different location. So that was the only time where they were all together. Otherwise, they were never, the four of them were never together ever.
Wow. You know, it's just modern day movie making, especially with the social media. Jennifer, I really, really appreciate you coming out. I really, really loved Shook. I especially love how you were merciful to people, to a character who most directors and writers would not have been merciful to. And on Muse's recommendation, I'm going to find Dark Mountain on Tubi TV and write it up for a blog entry in the next week or two.
Oh, that's great. I'll tell Tara, she's the director. She'll be very excited.
Thank you so much. I'm going to hand you over to Omar.
Sure. Hi.
Hey, Jennifer. Thanks for joining us. I'm going to ask the first question here, and you kind of touched on both of these things, but I was just kind of curious. In the end, what was it more difficult, working with the dog or fitting in the technology of the movie?
The dog. Because the technology was definitely a pain, but we were able to we planned very carefully for it. And we had, you know, we did all those projections live when we were shooting and stuff, but we had that all figured out ahead of time. And if any of the close-ups of the phones, like we replaced it later. So we were able to come up with a very like efficient way of shooting all that stuff. But the Chico, man, Chico was tough. Very cute, but very, she got burned out really fast too. I feel like we would get a few shots, but then towards the end of our time with her, it was just like we were lucky to get anything. So he was very tough.
Well, I credit you for tackling two hard additions to everything else that you have to do in a film there. And I was just kind of, to add on that, I was kind of curious, is it harder when you write the script when you know you have to add these kind of extra technology angles to them, where if you're just writing a regular script and let's say you were just in that house, you would just write, okay, things are happening in the house, but it's not just the house, it's all this additional stuff.
You know, actually I found it, you know, if it was just a house, the technology is what actually made it more fun to write for me, because at least it was something a little different. I mean, look, I've seen a million girl in a house movies, so is everybody else, you know, like it's been done. And, you know, there's only so many things you can do that are even remotely different than you haven't already seen. So it gave me something to play with and try to come up with new ways to do it, and hopefully try to freshen up things that you've seen before in a way. So I think that the technology stuff actually is what made it more fun to write.
And to kind of expand on that, did you kind of look at any, there have been some movies more recently that have done some technology stuff and horror as well. Did you look at any of those other movies to kind of get ideas to how to kind of approach it and to see what they did and what you could do maybe better or different?
Well, I mean, I definitely seen, like in a lot of TV shows and stuff, like text will just be like, graphic text on screen. And there's a lot of different ways that I already was kind of familiar with how people do it. But yeah, I mean, my goal was I really wanted to make it more front and center in the movie. And I wanted to show kind of how Mia's never really fully present and she's always kind of in two worlds at the same time. So that was where I decided to do the projection so that it felt like that world was physically in this world and they were kind of melding. Um, and so that was something like really I came up with just based on character and kind of how I wanted it to feel based on how she experiences things. So that's really kind of where I went with that. And I don't know, I'm sure someone else has probably done it, but I that was something that really came more from her character.
Well, what I found interesting in that use is that ultimately some of the characters end up very close to Mia, as the movie rolls on. But because you're using the technology, you think that they're really far away or in different places. But especially later on, there's one scene where she's having a specific conversation with a very important character, and it's a tense moment, but they're a lot closer than everybody thinks. So it's kind of that technology. It's a very kind of plays with your mind as you're watching that because you're like, this is a very intense moment, but they're really close. Like, what is going to happen next?
Yeah, no, yeah, that was also another fun. I mean, it's a bit like a lot of the movie gets compared a lot to When a Stranger Calls, which is kind of like the first version of that, and like also like the opening to Scream, where you can play with people's perspective and like where people are. And I think this is just sort of taking it a step further with social media and technology where you can convince people even more that you're somewhere else.
And my final question is, because I have to bring it up, is the very opening of the movie. Excellent kill there in the bathroom. Walk us through kind of putting that together and how maybe if that was fun or hard or how that came together.
That was fun. That was essentially, it was like the most time and money we had for like one section of the movie was for the opening. I mean, which I'm sure you could probably tell when you watch the movie. And so that was just fun because we got to really focus on it. And like, we had this amazing special effects guy who was on the whole film, but that was when we really got to use his talents. Hugo, who he did like the makeup for Bone Tomahawk and like some other really cool gory movies. So it was fun to work with him to figure out how the high heel would work and like, what was the best way to do it. So it was like mostly practical. We really only used some visual effects on like taking this like wire out that went around her chin. But all of that was just really kind of fun to be able to spend time doing that, where like a lot of the other kills, we knew we wouldn't have the time to give it as much detail. So we didn't do anything so crazy that we couldn't pull it off. And that was the one time where we really got to kind of go for it. And so it was fun.
Well done. Love many of the kills, but specifically that one. So and well done on the movie as well. And congratulations on being on Shudder. And I'm gonna throw it back to Ken.
Yeah, definitely one of the coolest kills I've seen. Unexpected with the high heels. That was rad. I loved it. Well done. And that's what horror is all about. Is just making a memorable kill at least once. And I think you nailed it right away. You just knocked it right out of the park. And you're like, as I'm watching it, I'm thinking like, yes, this movie's gonna be awesome now. And then after it got done, I was like, oh, I gotta get them on my show. I gotta get her on my show. Anyway, listen. So. It was awesome, but not as awesome as our next segment. We like to put our guests through the Deathly 13. It's 13 trivia questions, 13 random questions that Muse only knows the answers to. HorrO, Chris, and myself do not know the answers. So, and you don't know the answers. Well, you might know the answers. I don't know. So Muse is going to ask you 13 questions. You get lifelines. You can ask myself, Chris, or HorrO one time each for help. You can ask for multiple choice, or you can postpone a question. And Muse, go ahead and take it away. You got to get.
Oh man.
You can possibly go 13. You can possibly go 13 for 13, even 14 for 13. The last
What
question is
about
worth
0
2
for
points.
13?
Hey,
Make
you
it
know what?
0.
It would be the first. I'd be impressed.
Oh, no. Okay, I'll do my best.
All right. So here we go. All right. So you said that you liked older horror movies and you were going to do better there. So I actually, I had actually made this list up probably about 2 weeks ago now. So I do have some older ones in here. So hopefully that works
I know
out.
them.
But at any rate, the guys are going to help you. We're all here for you. And I think you're going to
Okay.
be great. Okay. So the first question, jumping right in here, is about the movie Slumber Party Massacre from 1982.
Mhm.
And I'm going to ask you for the first question, what power tool did Russ Thorne use in the Slumber Party Massacre from 1982 to kill his victims?
Oh my God, I want to say it was a drill, but I'm not sure if okay. All right, it's a drill.
Just watch the guys'
Yeah,
reaction.
give it to her.
Yeah. All right.
I'm
Great
giving it to
start.
her.
Oh, I got one. All right.
That's
so
absolutely
I'm
right.
really
It was
good
a
one.
drill.
You ruined the O for 14, but
I
okay, we'll just
know,
see what
I
happens
know.
now.
That's all right. Okay. All right. So here's another classic from the 80s. It's about, well, I can't tell you the name of it because that would give away the answer, but I'm going to give you the synopsis and you tell me which 80s classic I'm speaking of. Terry O'Quinn plays the title role in what?
Stepfather.
Yeah, right. I love that you knew right when I said his name. I love those movies.
Sorry, I needed to buzz in.
Yeah,
I need that
like, don't even finish it. Yeah, don't even let me finish. Go in, go
Sorry,
for
I
it.
should have let you finish.
That's okay. Absolutely. I see you're a word for nothing. Here we are. So great. Okay. Question 3. This is a little newer. This is 90s. And I know somebody in particular who will know this one if you're not sure. So I'm going to ask you for question 3. Wesley Snipes plays the half human, half vampire hunter in which films based on the Marvel Comics character?
It's Blade.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Blade.
All right. Okay. I'm feeling much more confident now.
Yeah, you're on a roll.
Woo.
All right. Question 4. This is a newer one. This is, I think, this is definitely in 2000s for sure.
Okay.
And again, you got the guys or multiple choice, remember, or postponing. So don't forget that. All right. So question 4. What giant monster film appears to be composed of found footage showing a partygoer's struggle to survive as much of New York is destroyed?
That's Cloverfield.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
That's
Okay.
New
All
York.
right. Ask her the one about how many gallons of blood was used to film. Yeah. You're getting
I won't
easy
be able
on
to
her.
do that.
Okay, so the way this next question for question 5 is set up is it's actually set up for multiple choice. So you get kind of like some help there on this one as well. This is from 1985. I'm going to ask you, which film was the first sequel to Reanimator from 1985? Was it Beyond Reanimator or Bride of Reanimator? Which was the first sequel?
Well, I would just be guessing. So maybe I could just, I'll ask somebody to help me. I'm like looking at their faces to see who's like, who's indicating
Like,
if they
don't come over
know.
here. Well, you got a 50-50 shot. It's either Beyond Reanimator or Bride of Reanimator.
I'll ask Chris.
Okay.
I think it's Beyond.
It's Bride of Reanimator.
I was gonna say Bride. Yeah, I was thinking it was Bride. Yeah.
That's all right. That's all right.
That's all right.
All right. Question 6. All right. What slasher film director also directed the 1979 TV miniseries based on Stephen King's Salem's Lot? I can give you a hint on this one if you need some help here. If you're blanking.
I mean, I would just be guessing. I would love a hint.
Okay. He directed, along with Steven Spielberg, Poltergeist.
Oh, Toby Hooper.
Yes. Yeah, right. Toby Hooper.
Nice job.
Yeah,
Wow.
I didn't know he was involved with Salem's Lot for some reason. I blocked that one out. All
Yeah, I
right.
had no
that's
idea.
cool.
Yeah.
All right. Question 8. Demi Moore.
7.
Oh, seven. Oh,
Seven.
I don't. Okay.
Am I wrong?
No,
No. You know what? I might have missed one.
You know what? I might have skipped ahead, but we'll see. All right.
We'll give her. We'll do this. I'm gonna give her. Hold on. We're gonna give her 7.
Like,
Yes,
all
we're on question 8. We're on question 8. We're gonna say question 8 because I might have messed up too.
All right, question 8. Demi Moore starred in which film where she suspected her unborn child might be the second coming of Christ? Another 80s film, I believe, late 80s.
Oh yeah.
What was that one? That was a good movie.
It's got a number in the title.
See, I was gonna first. I don't know if this is true at all, but the ninth gate is like jumping in my head. No.
No.
That's
I
Johnny
think
Depp.
I know what it
Like
is.
9. Okay, Ken.
Is it this something power like 6 power or something like
Oh,
that?
you're thinking Lou Diamond Phillips.
No,
was the
shit.
first one. What is the number?
Can I pick Chris now?
You can if you want.
Yeah, isn't it seventh seal or something like that, or seventh sign, or
Seventh Sign.
Seventh sign. There you go.
I thought she was gonna say,
redemption?
I thought she was gonna say seventh up there at one point. So I was like, oh, she's got it. All right.
No.
All right. For the 9th question.
9.
Yep. This is another set up in another multiple choice style. So this is kind of like, if you want to just go ahead and try to make a guess. In which film adaptation of his works has Stephen King not appeared as an actor? We all know he loves to make cameos in his films. One of these he did not. Was it Creepshow, Firestarter, or Pet Sematary?
Oh, I'd be guessing. I'd say he wasn't in Pet Cemetery, but I could be wrong. That's my guess.
It was Firestarter. I would have guessed either Firestarter or Pet Cemetery. I was thinking, I don't remember Pet Cemetery either, for that matter.
Yeah.
I can't remember where he would be.
Where was it? Do you know, Muse? Does it say?
No, it just says Firestarter, but I would like to know where he was at in Pet Cemetery because I missed him completely.
Yeah, me too.
Unless he was like maybe just he's always just like this real minor character. So
I think
I'd give it to her.
The graveyard in Pet Cemetery.
I was thinking,
If I remember correctly.
You
I think. I'm not sure, but if I remember correctly, he's in the graveyard scene.
How often do you not remember something correctly?
Never. I don't even know where I am. What am I talking about?
Exactly.
Who are you guys? What's going on?
We'll give it to her. I think that's
all right.
Okay.
All right. She gets a pass.
Wrong, but I'm gonna go back and watch it. Like I really need a reason because I love that movie. But I'm curious now, actually. All right.
I'm only gonna give it to her because I was thinking it too. So that's the only reason.
It definitely could be one of the answers as well when I was writing them up. So I was like, okay, all right. I definitely don't remember him in Firestarter though, so I guess that makes sense too. But all right, so question 10. This is a newer one. It's about Underworld from 2003. What are the werewolves called in the Underworld film series from 2003? Well, it started.
I have not seen Underworld.
Oh my gosh, Chris is over there. I'm out of his seat.
You can still do multiple choice.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'd just be guessing.
True.
But you can still do it though, and I think once you hear the name,
okay, all right,
then you'll know it.
All right,
Okay.
I'll try multiple choice.
All right.
Muse, make them. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Never mind. You do your thing. Do your thing.
So I was kind of hoping she would guess multiple choice on this because you guys are going to love my alternatives for the names of these creatures. Okay, so we've got howlers, moon beasts. I was struggling on this. You can tell moon beasts. All right. Or lichens.
That's great.
Obviously, it's not moon beasts because I'm like
Lichens. I was going to say lichens.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Lichens. Although I may call them moon beasts from now on. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I like
Let's
it.
go with moon. We gotta make a movie called Moon Beasts.
It sounds actually like a pretty cool title. All right.
Yeah, I'm in.
All right. Okay. All right, here we go. For question 11, and we're back to Stephen King. What is the only Stephen King film adaptation that King himself has directed? And I can give you a hint on this one.
Yeah, I'd love a hint. I didn't know he directed any.
Killer Vehicles. especially a semi in particular.
Oh,
Ooh.
that's the with the AC/DC soundtrack.
Yes. Awesome.
Nice.
Wait, hold on. I know that.
We can always postpone it if it comes back to you. We can come back to it.
It's the Who Made Who, like
Yes.
AC/DC. I can't believe I'm blanking on the name.
There's
It's not Duel.
Let's
That's
see.
the Spielberg one.
no, not Duel.
Yeah, that was Spielberg.
Duel.
Yep.
An equally great movie.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I'd like to come back to that one because I know that.
Okay, we'll put that one aside, and we will move on to question 12. And one of my favorites, The Lost Boys, which was, of course,
Yes.
1987. And I'm going to ask you, I'm going to ruin this for everybody. So if somebody out there has not seen The Lost Boys, we don't know where you've been, but you might want to mute this part because I'm going to ask you who ended up being the head vampire in the film The Lost Boys from 1987. Who was the head vampire?
Oh, I don't know his name, but he was the guy that Diane is dating.
Yeah. I'll give it to you because that's who it was.
It's,
that's good enough.
Rory Gilmore's grandfather.
Edward Herman, I think, wasn't it?
Edward Herman, not his name. That's his name.
Yes.
Good actor.
That was his name, and his name in the movie was Max.
Ah,
Max.
The character's name, but
yeah.
I love that you guys knew his real name because I knew the last part of his name was Herman, but I couldn't remember the first name. So that still
I didn't
counts
know.
because that's even better. That's even more information. All right. Question 13.
That's worth 2 points, by the way. But let's go back to 11 before she does 13.
Okay, let's go back to 11. Oh, shoot. Okay, I gotta go back. Okay.
So
all
it's
right.
the yeah.
Stephen King. Yeah. What is the only Stephen King film adaptation that King himself has directed with the AC/DC soundtrack?
Emilio Estevez.
Mm-hmm.
no, I know the movie. I can see it in my
Green
head.
Goblin. Green Goblin. Green Goblin
I
head
just
on the
can't-
truck.
I know. I just can't remember the
just
Maximum
Stephen-
Overdrive.
Okay, I'll give you a hint.
Yes!
Oh, there you go.
All right. I didn't mean to yell in your ear. I was like, yes.
Nice.
I knew it would come back. I knew it would come to you. It's on the tip of your tongue there. That's
Yeah.
the perfect use of that lifeline. Absolutely.
Yeah, it is.
All right. Last question. And you've been doing fantastic, by the way. Just want to
Thank
let
you.
know.
I know. I'm
You're
pretty
good. You're
impressed
killing
with
it.
myself.
I love it. I love it. So this is a new one, 2018, but I got a great hint for you. It was from 2018. So it says, what 2018 film inadvertently inspired so-called challenges of people performing ordinary tasks while blindfolded?
Oh, that was that Bird Box.
Yes, Bird Box. All
Which
right.
I did not
Wow, I didn't
see.
know that.
But
I
I
didn't
remember
either.
that.
I have not seen Bird Box yet, and I'm ashamed.
I haven't either.
Okay, well, I love that you knew it then. I was like, all right, you did great.
I didn't even know. I didn't know that they did challenges from that. That's pretty cool.
didn't
Listen,
either.
Jen, you did great because you only missed one, but you got the bonus question, so you went 13 for 13. That's awesome.
Hey! Damn, I love it.
Maybe it's questionable because I forgot we might have messed up on one of them, but that's an error in your favor. You know, like when Monopoly and you play Monopoly, is it 250 in your favor?
I think it was my
Anyway.
bad. I'll take the blame for it. I think I messed that up.
Well, I'm going to blame you no matter what, so it doesn't matter. Jennifer, this is the time where we like to give you the opportunity to talk about what's in the pipeline for you. What are you working on, and where can we find you on social media, as well as where can we watch the film, where we know we can watch the film, but you can say it.
You can watch the film on Shudder. And I actually don't do much social media, but I'm sure I'm on there. You can find me. And I've got a few projects in the works, but nothing I can really talk about. But yeah, trying to think of what
That's okay.
I sold a script to Sony last year, and that there'll be hopefully something with that coming soon.
Is it horror related? Is it horror related?
You know,
I'm only
it's
asking because
like-
we want you to come back on the show.
Yeah, no, I mean, it has like, I've gone into this different direction that's more like comedy, but it has like gore. So I don't know what that is.
We do what was that one with the dates, the couples and the, oh man, they were in the four. We've seen movies like this before. Where it's like comedy and there's blood and stuff in it, but
Yeah.
it's not necessarily horror, but it's funny and it is horror in
Yeah,
its own
that's-
way. There's so many different subgenres, which I'm going to get into in a bit here. But anyway, Jennifer, Thank you so much. Congratulations again on the
Sure,
success of the
thanks.
film. I know everybody that watches is going to love it. We wish you nothing but the best, and we will definitely help promote it as best as we can here on Where the Scary Things Are.
Thanks so much,
Keep
guys.
it scary. Keep it
Okay,
scary. We'll
you
talk to you
too.
soon.
All right, bye.
Bye.